What up, though, everybody, and welcome to Lions Nation Unite. I am Spencer Raxter from Woodward Sports. Lions Nation Unite is a collective that Herman Moore started, and he's bringing all different Lions content creators from all different walks of life together to produce great content around the Detroit Lions. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us everywhere on social media, whether it be X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your social media. Make sure you follow Lions Nation Unite. Now, obviously, the 2025 NFL Draft just came and went, and the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes did what the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes do, and that's piss off a lot of people in their fan base after their draft because they think they reached. I'm going to break down multiple different picks in this draft for the Detroit Lions throughout the week, but we're going to start at my favorite pick of the draft, a guy that was extremely high on my board, and a guy that I had mocked to the Lions since March. That being Tate Ratledge, the guard out of Georgia. This guy is a load. 6'6", 310 pounds. He ran a 4.9 40 and had a 1.7 10-yard split. The dude is insane athletically. When you look at Brad Holmes draft picks, look at their RAS scores. They're all going to be 9+, and Tate Ratledge is a 997 RAS score. That is raw athletic score. It compiles all the different things that you do to make you an athlete and puts them into one number ranked through 10, and Tate Ratledge sits at 9.97 out of 10. The guy is an elite athlete at the guard spot. He will fit perfectly into what the Detroit Lions like to do in the run game when it comes to pulling, counters, blocks, traps, and their outside zone run scheme that has been so effective for them over the past couple of years. I think Tate Ratledge is ready to go right into that, a complex scheme, but a former team captain, a former SEC a former All-American in 2024. Tate Ratledge is one of my favorite players in this draft, and I love that the Detroit Lions got him. It's not just the stash, it's not just the mullet that makes me love Tate Ratledge, but not going to lie, that plays a factor. This dude is mean. This dude is aggressive, and this dude is nasty at the point of attack, getting out in front of whether it be a tight end, a wide receiver, or a running back in the flats and delivering powerful blocks in the run game, whether that be out on the edge in front of a running back or just in the lanes. This man is nasty, and he is aggressive when blocking. You know, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes love that type of player. He is just an absolute monster when it comes to run blocking. He will be a plug and play type guy, and I believe he will be battling for that right guard spot for the Detroit Lions in week 1 next season. Listen, this guy can do no wrong in my book. I love him. And I was so happy that the Detroit Lions got him, not just because I predicted it or not just because I said he was going to go there, but truly what he brings to this team and how he fits in with this culture. It is a seamless transition. Like I said, he was a 4-year guy. He was a captain at Georgia. He was a former All-American in 2024, former All-SEC guy in 2023, anchoring that offensive line from the interior spot. He is just absolutely nasty. He's won multiple SEC offensive line player of the week. The guy is just a monster. He's going to have to learn a little bit in pass pro. That is something where he is going to have to adjust to the National Football League, because the one thing that kept him out of being elite prospect, like first round level prospect, was his arm length. His arms aren't the longest for his body. Like, they're only 32.5 inches, and he has a 6'6" frame. So it doesn't really sit well with that being that big, that tall, and only having 32-inch arms. You can get caught a little bit in between, but his hands and his strength are so intense that when he gets his hands on you, he can use his physical strength to keep you there. If he gets his hands on you, you're not going anywhere. But that is the problem, is he punches a lot and overextends a lot trying to make those plays, which causes him to turn his shoulders, causes him to turn his body, and then become half of the blocker that he truly should be. That is something that he is going to have to buckle down on. That is something that he is going to have to clean up if he wants to truly win that starting right guard spot out of camp, which we know, I did a video on it a while ago, Dan Campbell said is open for grabs. That guard spot, whether you look at Graham Glasgow, Giovanni Manu, Christian Mahogany, or as Dan Campbell put that, whoever we draft, they are going to be fighting for this spot. It is very, very possible that Tate Ratledge is on your starting offensive line week 1 of next season. I can't say enough about what I think of the kid. He is a perfect fit for this Detroit Lions team. He was my number 2 guard in the class, or sorry, number 3 guard, excuse me, if you count Gray Zabel as a guard. But this guy is just an absolute monster. Like I said, there's some things that he's going to need to clean up, but the athleticism will help him so much in this Lions run scheme. Getting out in front of players, getting out in front of Jahmyr Gibbs, in front of David Montgomery, or Sam Laporta, or whoever it is out on the outside, and throwing devastating blocks. You're going to see a lot of number 69 flying around the field for the Detroit Lions in their run scheme. And when you put a rookie guard, or you possibly put a rookie guard in a situation in the NFL, I can't think of one better than being in between Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell. He will have to learn. Like I said, he will have to get better in pass protection, but being between those two guys is about as good of a safety blanket as you're going to find in the National Football League. The guy is set up for absolute success. He is not the most versatile guy. He's not going to be able to guy that can play tackle for you, or he can move out, but he can play the inside guard spots. He can play guard. He might be able to play a little bit of center, but he is someone that you know what you're going to get when he's in there. He is not going to try to be something he's not. He's not going to try to be a hero. He is going to be Tate Ratledge, and for a majority of his career, that has been more than enough, and I expect that success to continue in the National Football League. But I just think that this is one of the guys in the draft that you look at it, he is about as ready to go as you can get with these offensive line prospects. All of the offensive line prospects this year, whether it be Booker, whether it be Zabel, whether it be whoever, Tate Ratledge, when you look at the interior offensive line especially, is a guy I think that is most ready for plug and play. Now, did I think it was going to take a second-round pick for the Detroit Lions to get him? No, I thought he might have been there in the third, but Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, they saw their guy. They went and got their guy, and I couldn't be happier with the pick. We know that was one of the biggest holes on this Detroit Lions team last year, especially down the stretch. It really got exposed in that Commanders game when that interior offensive line was kind of getting abused by the defensive tackles of the Washington Commanders, and we saw it throw Jared Goff off his game. That game where he had 4 interceptions, a lot of that stemmed from him not feeling comfortable in the pocket. Jared Goff is strictly a pocket passing quarterback, so he has to be able to sit back there comfortably, plant his feet, and make his reads. And the easiest way to get to a quarterback is from the interior. So if the interior of your offensive line is compromised, Jared Goff is not going to be able to do much. And we know that Graham Glasgow, although I thought was playing injured, it's not like he's an all-pro, right? It's not like he's a Hall of Fame. He's very good at what he does. And I think he will be best suited on this team as the backup, whether that be the backup of Frank Ragnow or the backup of either guard spot. But I think having a guy like Graham Glasgow with his versatility as your first reserve on the offensive line could be an extremely valuable weapon for the Detroit Lions next year, because we saw what happens when that injury bug starts to bite and things start to pile up. So if it comes down to it, I would like to see Graham Glasgow have that first backup spot on the Detroit Lions offensive line. Then whether if you need him at center or either guard spot, he will be able to go. I personally want the interior offensive line next year to look like Christian Mahogany, Frank Ragnow, and Tate Ratledge. And I think you put those 2 young bucks in between Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, and Taylor Decker, and it will only accelerate their growth. 2 guys that are very similar when you talk about what they like to do. Very aggressive, very violent, good run blocking guys, but need to work a little bit in their pass pro. We saw Christian Mahogany's pass pro look a lot better than what was expected out of him, but I think Tate Ratledge is going to be a guy that's going to need a little help there. So put him between Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell, and you can't ask for much more help than that. So I give this pick by the Detroit Lions an A-, just because I thought you might be able to get him a little later, but I'm not mad at it at all. This is one of my favorite prospects in the draft. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, draft pick out of Brad Holmes' 2025 draft class for the Detroit Lions. Tate Ratledge is going to be an absolute stud for the Lions. Sexy with the mullet, angry with the stash, violent, attacking offensive lineman who will finish his blocks through the dirt. A guy that fans are going to love, a guy this coaching staff fell in love with, and a guy that's going to be in the interior offensive line for the Detroit Lions for a long time. Welcome to Motown, Tate Ratledge. Can't wait to see your career start. And like I said, go get that right guard spot out of camp.